welcome to the Tuesday edition of Talking Football, where we take a closer look at all the events in Germany and in France. With me in the studio again is Ouriel Daskal, football analyst for Kalkali's daily and website, and Michael Friedman, I24 news reporter. Gentlemen, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
Borussia Dortmund lose again, Paris Saint-Germain cannot win again. All that and more coming up. Here we go. We start with the Bundesliga and with Borussia Dortmund. Ouriel, they lose again for the fourth time in 7 matches, this time at home, 1-0 to Hamburg. How can they be so impressive in the Champions League, where they won both matches against Arsenal, one of them, and the other in Belgium against Anderlecht, and so miserable in the Bundesliga?
Well, it's a question of depth. They just don't have it. You know, if in Bayern Munich, Javi Martinez is injured, then let's go and buy Xabi Alonso. They can't do it. So when Marco Reus is injured and is a major player, they just can't replace him, and it's a problem because football in the end is, you have tactics and you have coaches and all that, but in the end, it's a game. It's a players game, and you need players to win. And if you don't have the right players, you won't win.
And now, Michael, Ouriel mentioned Marco Reus. If we go back about a year and a half ago to the game they played in the final of the Champions League against Bayern Munich, their stars were Lewandowski and Götze, who are in Bayern Munich today, and then again Mkhitaryan, Reus, and Gundogan, who were injured. Is that impossible to bridge by all those players missing?
Yeah, once the players go, the team isn't the same, and they're struggling to keep the same form. And like you said, it's a marathon. The season isn't just the league. There's Champions League. There's so many matches that they play through the season that they have to have a full squad and a huge depth, and that's what other clubs like Bayern Munich you see in.
Yeah, well, you both mentioned Bayern Munich, so if we take a look at them, they beat Hanover 4-0, but Mario Götze, Frank Ribéry weren't even playing, so was Thomas Müller, and still they won 4-0 easily because you have Lewandowski scoring twice, Arjen Robben scoring twice. It just doesn't end.
Yeah, because they have twice as much income as Dortmund has, so they can buy, the quality players, more players. They have quantity, they have quality, they have everything they need to compete in the Champions League and in the Bundesliga. That's why the super clubs are so, the money is the reason why super clubs are, so dominating in these leagues. In France, less, but Germany, Spain, in England even. You have a problem there.
And the question I want to ask you both is this. It was not a long time ago when the Bundesliga was the example of a balanced league with teams like Wolfsburg, like Werder Bremen, like Stuttgart winning championships. Now, it's not even 2 teams like in Spain. It's 1 team, at least for now, it looks they'll dominate for ages. Is that going to be the case?
Well, I'll take you back to Spain. You see Bilbao, they've reached the Champions League, and they're doing okay in the Champions League, okay? But then...
It cost them dearly in
the
league.
Yeah, it cost them dearly, because the structure of European football doesn't really allow mediocre clubs or medium-sized clubs to succeed for the long run. So you see it in Spain, and it's the same in Germany. I mean, Werder Bremen, they just can't hold for long as a competitor in the Bundesliga and in the Champions League. It's just impossible for them. And Dortmund are finding it very difficult now, just as Wolfsburg, Stuttgart, and Werder Bremen had before.
And now, the only competition Bayern Munich may have so far, with Borussia Dortmund is not there, is Mönchengladbach and Hoffenheim. I want to ask you, Michael, Mönchengladbach, who tied now 1-0 with Mainz, Hoffenheim, can they run a long race with Bayern Munich, or it's just a lost cause because there is a small gap already?
It's doubtful. I mean, right now it looks like it's a one-horse race. When you see the German Bundesliga, it's Bayern Munich. These other teams, they're having some points, and they might be behind a bit, but in the end, it doesn't seem as if there's a chance for anyone else to come in there and really sneak up.
So what we're seeing is the German league, which was very balanced, is becoming sort of a one-team horse, and who knows for how long?
Well, I think once Pep Guardiola will leave, they will find a vacuum that needs to be filled. I mean, I can't see anyone replacing him. they might take Klopp. Yeah, but
they like to bring in the players from Munich. Why not coaches?
Yeah. I think it's Bayern Munich for over a few decades now are dominating the Bundesliga. They have ups and downs, and there will be downs. And when they're down, you'll need that Dortmund, you need that Stuttgart to come in and try to win the championship. It's possible, but for in the macro, when you look at it, then it's a Bayern Munich league.
Yeah.
In other results from the Bundesliga, Bayer Leverkusen could not overcome Paderborn, the game ending in a 2-2 draw. Hoffenheim beat Schalke 2-1, and Eintracht Frankfurt won 3-2 against Köln. Bayern Munich are first with 17 points, followed by Hoffenheim and Mönchengladbach, both with 13. Bayer Leverkusen and Eintracht Frankfurt with 1 point less. Don't try to find Dortmund in the top 10. They're much closer to relegation at the moment than they are to the top. Jurgen Klopp's team is only in 13th position with 7 points. Now to France, and the match between Paris Saint-Germain and Monaco was perhaps seen ahead of the season as the clash that could determine the championship. Now, Ouriel, it became a clash of the team who don't want to see Marseille run away, but that is what happened with that 1-1 draw.
Well, Monaco need to look behind them because they're nearer the relegation zone than to the championship zone. I think you'll see it. I mean, you'll see Marseille dictating the pace throughout the season, I think, and PSG will play a catch-up game with them.
And now this 1-0 score, a draw at home, it may not be by itself a disaster for PSG, but when they won only 3 out of 9, when they concede that last-minute goal at home, Michael, it is sort of a problem because it's reoccurring. What is the press saying about this, about PSG and about Monaco?
I mean, with the Monaco PSG drawing, it's just another week where PSG is in the headlines for disappointing, where they should have had more points and they should be second, in the league.
Especially after that big win in midweek against Barcelona, they should have been celebrating now, and it's not happening. What is the press saying?
But also Laurent Blanc has even said in the press that this big impressive win that they had 3-2 against Barcelona, it's expected for his players to kind of come back and feel the effects. And there's also Anthony Martial, who is making the big headlines because this 18-year-old player, he's very young. He came in, scored, he's called the super sub. And
no bigger stage in France to score than against PSG at the Parc des Princes and stoppage time.
Make himself on the big form and showing everyone that he can play. So this goal for Anthony Martial was huge, and it's very exciting for what this player can do in the future.
And now I want to ask you, Ouriel, we spoke about Bayern Munich earlier. We said that even with a lot of players on the sideline, they just cruise on. Paris Saint-Germain, it should be said, they're playing a lot of time without Zlatan, without Thiago. Heavy injuries. It did work in Champions League. In the league, they're stumbling.
Yeah, well, there's a statistic that's saying that without Zlatan, PSG have won only 50%, and with him, they win 70% of the times. So Zlatan is a major player for them, and it could be a problem for the hierarchy of the club. When you're so dependent on one player, it's a problem. He's great. He's one of, I think, is just behind Ronaldo and Messi. He's that good. So when he's not there, it's a problem. But they still, they still need to. They have the resources, to solve that problem, and they haven't.
And Michael, we spoke last year about Laurent Blanc. Last week they said he may lose his job if they lose to Barcelona. He didn't win again now, but it seems like the French press is given an easier time this time around.
Yeah, they're definitely happier the fact that he's moving forward. But another player for this team is André-Pierre Gignac, and that's
from Marseille.
From Marseille, and that's remarkable what he's able to accomplish. That player has done tons, and he's really moving forward.
Yeah, he's Zlataning the league right now.
He's just destroying it. Every time he steps on the pitch, he's making goals, and it's going to be interesting how he can move forward.
And if when Michael mentions Gignac, we're talking, of course, about Marseille. They win for the 7th time in a row. Gignac scoring in stoppage time. Are they for real?
Well, there are two factors you need to take into account. First of all, they don't have the Champions League. It's a blessing for them right now. The other thing is the Bielsa fatigue. The Bielsa players, after a while with him, they're getting tired of his methods, they're getting tired of his tactics, and they're just not performing as well as they should. And we still don't see it. It's still early on, but I think they are for real. They can win it. It depends on it depends really on how they can handle Bielsa on the long term.
If you win 7 times in a row, if you score away on stoppage time, that's a big thing.
Yeah, but again, like they won 7 in a row, I think they can lose 7 in a row, and then the whole picture is different. The league is not a sprint; it's a marathon. I think Bielsa understands it. I don't know if the players understand that.
So that is obviously very interesting to see. Now, in other results from France, Bordeaux lose ground as they lose in Reims. Evian win for the second straight time, this time 3-0 at home against Metz, and it was the same result between Lyon and Lille. As we have mentioned, Marseille are first with 22 points, 5 more than Bordeaux in second. Champions PSG are third, but 7 points behind the leaders, same as Lille and Nantes. The one thing that may be preventing the French league to be even better than it is today is the fact that many local players prefer to play abroad. It may be the bigger money or the better chance away from home. The fact is that we can find many French players in Spain and England. For some, it's a successful experience, but as Liz Barenboim and Michael Friedman tell us, their stories are not always happy.
Many of the elite footballers have joined top clubs in Europe from France and grew as players with different luck. With new players and veterans, the French play a valuable role in Europe. It appears now that these footballers are a bright light for the Spanish clubs, but have more difficulty satisfying the fans in the Premier League. The signing of defender Jeremy Mathieu, who was bought for €20 million from Valencia to Barcelona by Luis Enrique, quickly convinced the critics. This was also the case for Karim Benzema, who is considered indispensable by Carlo Ancelotti at Real Madrid. Even if he scores less than Cristiano Ronaldo, he has made a huge contribution through his assists to lead Madrid.
This is a very important player, and he's playing very well this year, not only because he scores goals.
If the Kingdom of Spain is the El Dorado, the situation in the UK is quite different. Mamadou Sakho has not been present in the English pitch since the beginning of the season, and the Liverpool defender was not happy to have been sidelined by his coach against Everton. He even left the stadium before the match. A weak offense was also shown during their performance against Aston Villa and West Ham. Yet he has the reputation of being a mature individual who may even be capable of becoming the captain of France one day.
Compared to what he does on the field already, it is clear too. But it's something that comes natural to him. I especially do not want to slow him down. But on the contrary, I want to make him continue on that path.
Another French player in the English Premier League is Alakim Mangala. Despite having a very mediocre start at Manchester City, the former Porto prodigy was defended by his coach Manuel Pellegrini, who continues to trust him. Despite their ups and downs, the French remain to have plenty of talent abroad.
Ouriel, I want to ask you, we see most of the big Spanish players play in Spain. Most of the big English players play in England, and the big German players play in Germany. Not the case for France. Ribéry, Benzema, among others, and the names we've seen here, play abroad. It's just a matter of money?
Yes, obviously. If PSG and Marseille and Lyon would have paid like Bayern Munich, Barcelona, and Real Madrid, then they would play in France. But they don't. And also, you have like teams like Southampton and Sunderland and West Bromwich Albion who are paying a lot more than Lyon, than like a major French club. So once that's the question, and the guy's professional, and he grew up as a professional, and he's 24, and he gets a good offer from England, he's not going to stay in France just for the sake of it. He's going to make some money outside of France.
And then I want to ask you, Michael, we see now big money in Paris Saint-Germain, a bit less, but still big money in Monaco as well. Is that the beginning of a transformation, or these people from the Gulf or from Russia that came in, they may leave, and then the French league will not have as much money to offer as it is.
It appears as if there is more money going into it. You just see PSG, especially David Luiz. I mean, the amount of money they put for him last season was a huge jump up.
Yes, Zlatan, Cavani, they pay big money.
They're starting to pay more, but the question is, will the players want to play in France or for the bigger leagues, which is the Premier League and La Liga? And ultimately, it is about the money, but even more so the prestige and what club is the most exciting place. The Barcelonas, the Chelseas.
Ouriel Daskal, Michael Friedman, I want to thank you very much for your company. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you.
And that's it for us today. Don't forget you can watch this and every other show on our website at i24news.tv. We're also on Facebook and on Twitter. Thank you for watching and have a beautiful day.